Folks, we are currently in the middle of a full-blown psychological war. It's the only way I can put that. We live in a day and age where you can have a lie travel so fast and reach so many people that the truth never gets an opportunity to actually catch up. And, by the time the truth actually makes its way out, the facts are actually presented, it's almost impossible for it to penetrate. Because the lie has been emotionalized, it has been internalized, it's been accepted as reality, it has painted the lens, right? You were told that what is going on down there is a genocide. It is an apartheid state. You can show somebody in their face, day by day, moment by moment. You can present stories to them of people who are living there, and they're still going to have an almost impossible journey between where they are and actually internalizing the truth. And so when I see stories like this one right here, which was sent to me by somebody who's been following me for a little bit, shout out to you for sending this email with this video in it. This shows a glimmer of hope for somebody like myself who, I've devoted myself to this work, is to say none of this is in vain. It might not be today. It might not be in the next 10 days, 10 months, maybe 10 years down the road. The truth will eventually penetrate, but your job is just to continue to put it out there. And so I want to give a spotlight to this young lady here who is having her own awakening. And, I hope that we continue to spread truth. You can't change anybody's mind. They must change their own, but you can at least do your best to inform them and to continue to stand in the truth unapologetically. My goodness. Hello, words. Should have done my little exercises before I got into the camera. But yeah, be unapologetic in the truth that you spread. Simple. People might not like you. They might discredit you. They might, they might cut your ass off. But when it's all said and done, the truth is the truth, and it doesn't need anything but for it to be expressed. So let's get into this.
When did I stop supporting Palestine? Oh, I don't know. Maybe when I realized that I was supporting radical Islam. Maybe when I realized that I was supporting a jihadist holy war. I have been fighting anti-Semitism on this app for how long? And then all of a sudden it was the most popular, politically correct thing to do to hate Israel and to call for death of everyone in Israel. And if you didn't do that, everybody on the woke left literally came for your throat. And I saw how hypocritical the movement was. And you guys don't even think about what you're actually supporting. Before I made a pro-Palestine video, I went and looked at the other side of the echo chamber, and I realized, oh, I'm being lied to. You guys wouldn't even let people do research and come to a deeper conclusion. I tried to post.
I believe the reason for that is it's simple as hive mind, mob mentality, and a deeper level, it is acceptance. It is approval. It is validation. When you have a large enough group that is already on trend with something, and you just simply have to attach yourself to that, you don't have to do anything but to express the very same sentiments as that group, and you will now be accepted. Now you have a new family. It's much in the same way as religion can be. Why do many people join a cult? It's because there's a level of kindredness or kinship that you have. So people will believe ridiculous things. People will believe lies, or people will not even look into what they're believing in order to feel as if they're accepted. And that's why I continue to push this message of, you must be an individual first. We work as a collective. We hope to, do what is best for one another and not to hurt and damage one another. But when it's all said and done at the individual level, because that's what you're dealing with. You're always going to be dealing with yourself. And a lot of these people use the group, the hive, the mob to hide behind, as opposed to confronting and facing themselves, right? People out there protesting against the 1%, the evil 1%, eat the rich, when they are actually dealing with their own insecurity, their own belief that they cannot create wealth in their own life or, create financial security. So they essentially gravitate towards a group that's going to continue to push the narrative that perpetuates their own lack of self-belief. People get in these groups and they hate women together, or they hate men together, and that's their plight now. because of their own situation and their own unwillingness to look at themselves and realize that maybe I got some work to do. But I digress. Let us continue.
Video saying, hey, I can see things from both sides of this conflict. I don't want to choose a side. And I got eaten apart for that. Never again will I bend the knee to the insane woke left. You guys don't care what you're supporting as long as it's like the politically popular thing at the time. And I don't ever want to hear that people on the left.
They are literally the establishment, by the way. And again, all of us are propagandized to a certain extent. I'm well aware of that. All of us are in some sort of echo chamber. The difference is it one that empowers you or one that disempowers you? That's how I kind of look at it. But yeah, they are the establishment. They are the arm of Big Daddy government. Whatever Big Daddy government says goes, right? Put on this muzzle. Yes, master. Take these 3 shots that have actually not gone through enough testing to know whether or not they're going to, I don't know, maybe lead to an early demise. Okay, master, whatever you say, master. I'll put my muzzle on, and I'll give myself the Fauci ouchie. Okay.
Are loving and tolerant and are social justice warriors again when you deny that October 7th happened, when you say that it doesn't matter that October 7th happened and it doesn't matter what's actually happened between Palestine and Israel for the past thousands and thousands of years. It doesn't matter. The history of it doesn't matter. All that matters is that your political identity is being confirmed, that you feel like you're being a political activist. You don't care that you are calling to the death of Israel because you think that they're the oppressor, which is another just woke bullshit term. White people are not the only people who've ever colonized land. White people are certainly not the only people who've had slaves. You guys need to learn actual history. Right, okay.
Yeah, I got to double down on that point right there. Nearly 2 billion people on this planet would, I'll say 1.5 billion would view themselves as being a Muslim, would qualify themselves as Muslim. 1.5 billion. 8-9 million. Now, we're talking religiously, right? Practicing. That's why I went from the 2 to 1.5 billion. So how many individuals on this planet would consider themselves as practicing Jews? We're not talking about just the classification as far as ethnicity, as far as origins, ancestry, right? Because that would classify around 14 or 15 million people total. Now let's break down how many are practicing. Let me be generous and say that 70% of them are practicing. Let's just be real generous. Okay, fantastic. So we have around 8-9 million people as practicing Jews. How do you have a discrepancy of 8 to 9 million in comparison to 1.5 billion? How do you get to the 1.5 billion number if it's not for, I don't know, conquerors, colonizers, slavers? This is a point that it blows my mind. The Jews are seen as colonizers, yet they live on the smallest plot of land, as big as maybe New Jersey in the United States. If you know United States geography, Jersey is tiny. It could be considered a city somewhere in California, right? You have a nation as large as New Jersey surrounded, engulfed by massive nations who are Muslim, practicing, who have the customs, etc., speak the language, a shared language in Arabic. How do you get to that point without colonizing? That, to me, for the left, that's the question I continue to bring up when it comes to this colonizers conversation, because all they can see is black and white. They believe the Jews are white, which is an absolutely ridiculous thing. Make sure to go visit, maybe just once in your life, Just once in your life, go and visit Israel. Just once. You just have to be there for 30 minutes and you realize, oh, this is one of the most diverse groups of people I've ever seen. But they view it from a lens of black and white, and the black is always the oppressed and the white is always the oppressor. Whoever is doing the worst on paper must be the oppressor. They can't factor in culture, who actually prioritizes entrepreneurship, education, things of that nature. It's like you look in America, right? Come to the West Coast at the very least. Probably 40 to 50% of the doctors are Indian. How does that happen? How does that work? Are they the colonizer? Are they the oppressor? Those are brown people. Just pure common sense. Emotional arguments are the only ones that work with these sorts of people.
It's actually insane. I care about innocent lives on both sides. And somehow it's like politically incorrect to say that, just like you can't say that you care about all humans. When did it become politically incorrect to say that you care about all humans? Yeah, I can see both sides of this conflict. I'm horrified by the death on both sides of this conflict, and that's actually a healthy response. So, and I promise you, honey, I know you have a little baby, right? You're a new mom. You do not want to be supporting jihadist regimes. Okay, do you know what they would do to you and your little baby as an American woman if they got their hands on you? Yeah, it's their religion to absolutely annihilate you as a human and then leave you in the street unless you bend the knee to them. If a child is raped in their culture, they are forced to marry that person. That's Sharia law. The women have to have permission to speak.
Facts.
Child marriage is fine.
Their prophet. No, let's talk about the ideology, because for far too long, we have been silenced from doing so publicly here in the West, right? You could not create an image of the prophet, let alone speak on him. No, let's talk about him. Aisha's her name, right? Aisha, 6-year-old, married at 9 years old to a 50-something-year-old. That's your culture? That's the prophet. That's the man who is responsible of carrying the religion, the messenger of their God. This is their equivalent of Christ. And some say, well, they don't worship Muhammad. No, it is a worship of that man, because he is the one who carried the doctrine, is he not? So, yeah. I want to talk about culture. And, I know she's playing the center, which is a beautiful thing, and we need more of that. But I have to say it. Many of the current quote unquote Palestinians, the quote unquote Gazans, right? The ones who chose not to essentially ingrain themselves in the system that is, or state that is now known as Israel, they're in support of jihadism. Hamas is their government. There are those who did not want this, as there are many Iranians who did not want what they currently have as a ruling class and a regime. But there are just as many who are standing behind Hamas because they believe them to essentially be soldiers of Allah. They believe them to be those who are going to push forward prophecy. I know it's almost impossible for us to contextualize that, because though America is majoritively Christian, there's still a lot of fluidity within what that even means. When's the last time we had a genuine, truly just holy war? That's what this is about for them. It is scripture, it is prophecy, and all else is heresy. And so it is not about, oh, we're going to fight this little war and then, you guys got us. It's a good one. Okay, ceasefire. We give up. We surrender. No, there is no surrender. They have no surrender. They will simply find another way to eradicate the people that they have been calling for to be eradicated, which is not just Israel. It's the big devil, America. So, yeah. She's cooking all right. She's cooking.
Yeah. Do you know what you're supporting? Because I think that's weird. Not just weird, it's foul. Like, once you really get into this, you can never unsee it. And we cannot allow this stuff in the West. They already have in the UK, and look what's happening there. You probably don't even know what's happening there. Yep. So.
No. They don't care what's happening there, sis. It's never been about the causes. These so-called activists, again, are using activism as a means to cope. They're using it as a means to not look in that good old mirror and say, you know what? My life is my responsibility. So they're looking for scapegoats. That's what that's about. That's why it's so deep. That's why it's so difficult and why it's such a process, because life has to happen in order for many of us to wake up. It's not just information.
Yeah. You're literally saying that it's okay to want to kill other people because of religion. You're supporting religious extremists who have vowed to keep hurting Israel. Why do you think Israel has the Iron Dome? Why do you think, like, you're saying that it's totally fine for people to act that extreme over religion, and you're supporting a religion that will literally calls for death to anybody who does not bow the knee to them. And you're like, yeah, you guys, like that's the loving thing to do, actually. Wake up.
All right, thanks for watching. I think that more people are waking up and the world is healing. A lot of these young folks, they thought that they were, doing the right thing by supporting the right side and being on the right side of history. And they wanted to be on the right side of history. It was all empathy and it was all coming from a good place. But now they're realizing that they were lied to. And a lot of these, propaganda channels to young people on TikTok and all these other platforms.
Funded by the very same people who they're in support of. That's the part that also gets me, is if only there was a realization that the people who are pushing that message, who are in the pockets of some of your favorite quote unquote influencers, are the very same ones who actually want to destroy you. Surprise, surprise. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Now, if you'd like to stay around, make sure to click that little subscribe button down there, or you can show some love by going to the description below and clicking on the button titled Buy Me a Coffee. Leave a little something there, or click on the Cash App. Leave a little something here. Till the next time, peace.
I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light. You can see the life in him illuminate the night. I know the time is taking. A 3, 6, 5, that's a full rotation. I see you looking up, you know them constellations. Constantly gazing like house of praises, you get to praising.